Ladies and gentlemen, today we have another math video for you to enjoy. Should be laughing. This is funny. What are we talking about today? All right, we just finished a video about modeling mixed number and improper fraction multiplication. So now we're going to get rid of the models and just do the multiplying. So I would suggest watching that video first if you haven't. It's quite amazing. And let's watch this one. Multiplying improper fractions and mixed numbers. Hey, what do you say to a noisy jar? Hey, put a lid on it, buddy. Say that in a class. I should start saying that in class more often. Hey, put a lid on it, buddy. All right, so lesson target. What we're going to work on, we're just going to be multiplying improper fraction and mixed numbers. Okay, we're not going to have to do any of the modeling. We're just going to focus on what is the way I can do it so I can get the final answer. Okay, if you understand how to multiply fractions, just standard fractions, this is going to seem very similar. Let's check it out. Okay. You know how to multiply fractions. I believe you do. So how do you do that? Okay. Yep. You just multiply the numerators. So if you have two fractions, you multiply the numerators together. All right. So what would we do? What would that look like? That would look a little bit like 1 times 1 equals 1. And we do the same thing with the denominators. 2 times 4 is 8. And that's how you multiply fractions. What you have to do afterwards is simplify. Is there anything you need to do? When we don't, because we have a 1 and an 8. But guess what? That's exactly how you do improper fractions as well, okay? You just multiply straight across, and then you simplify, okay? Now, remember that multiplication nugget. If you remember the simplify, try to simplify diagonally before you do a problem, you can make simplifying so much easier, bro. All right, so let's take an example right here, okay? So remember, multiply across and then simplify. So 5/4 times 2/3. Let's always look first and see if there is a way that we can simplify diagonally. So I hope you're taking a look at it right now as I am getting my highlighter ready. All right, so can I simplify 5/2? Well, the only factors, I always look at the smaller number first, which is 2. The only factors that go into 2 are 1 and 2. Will 2 go into 5? It will not. So what about this one? 3 and 4. Okay, remember, we always look diagonally. Look at the smaller number. What are the factors that go into 3? The only thing that works with 3 is 1 and 3. Will 3 go into 4? It will not. So we can't do any simplifying going forward. So now we just simply multiply across. Okay, so what is 5 times 3? We look at our numerators, and what is 5 times 3? It's 15. Okay, and what is 4 times 2? It is 8. Okay, so now all we need to do is turn that to simplify. Most of the time when a problem tells you simplify, if it's an improper fraction, they want you to put it into a mixed number. So remember the procedure for that. This bar in the middle means divided by. So what is 15 divided by 8? Okay, how many 8s will go into 15? Well, only one of them will, right? And so 1 times 8 is 8. So we subtract that away because we just got rid of it, and we have 7 left over. And that becomes the numerator of our part, and our denominator stays the same. So our answer would be 1 and 7/8. Multiply across, simplify, okay? Erase my ink, and let's move forward, okay? Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this one. 5 times 5 and 2 times 3. All right, so first of all, I'm sorry, 5/2 times 5/3. So can we simplify going this way? Smaller number is 3. The only factor is 3 is 3. It will not go into 5. That will not work. Can we simplify going the other direction? Smallest number is 2. The only factor is 2. 2 will not go into 5. So we cannot simplify. So we simply now multiply across, okay? And to do that, we say, what is 5 times 5? It's 25. And what is 2 times 3? It is 6, okay? Now we have to turn it into an improper or mixed number. We have an improper fraction. Let's turn it into a mixed number. So what is 25 divided by 6? So how many 6s will go into 25 without going over? Well, 2 6s is 12, 3 6s is 18, 4 6s is 24. All right, we're right next to it. So 4 times 6 is 24. You subtract it, you get 1 left over. That's our numerator. And our denominator is 6. So our answer is 4 and 1/6. I told you, if you know how to multiply fractions, it's basically the same thing. Let's take a look at this one. What about, can we simplify going diagonally? 9 and 5. 5 will not go into 9, and that's the only factor, so it doesn't work. 8 and 9. The factors of 8 are 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. Will any of those numbers go into 9? No, it will not. So we cannot simplify before we start. And trust me, it sounds like since we've did these examples, that never works, but it does work quite often, especially after you do the multiplication. All right, so let's multiply across. What is 9 times 9? Well, 9 times 9 is 81. 8 times 5 is 40. So now we got a bigger answer. So it might be harder, like from a simplifying standpoint, but all we got to do is say 81, okay? And we have to divide it by 40. How many 40s will go into 81 without going over? Well, 1 40 is 40. 2 40s, a 40 and a 40 is 80. Oh, that's going to be the one because we're right next to it, right below it. We didn't go over. So 2 of them. And 2 groups of 40 are 80. We subtract. We get, this is our numerator, 1 over 40. So our answer is 2 and 1/40. Pretty simple, huh? Same thing as before. Oh, you forgot about the mixed numbers, Tal. Well, how do you multiply mixed numbers? Well, this is what you do. You just change them into improper fractions and do exactly what we just worked on. All right, so let's take 3 and 1/2 and change it into an improper fraction. You guys remember how to change mixed numbers in improper fraction? You take the wholes. I have 3, and each of my wholes has 2 parts. So we multiply 3 times 2, and we get 6. And then we have 1 part left over, so we add the numerator. So you multiply the whole times the denominator, so 3 times 2 is 6, and then you add the numerator. And that gives us 7, and you keep your denominator, okay? So that would be 7/2, okay? So this would be 7/2. And then we do the same thing for the next one. So we take our whole, multiply it by the denominator, because it's 2 wholes and each whole has 4 parts. So if one whole has 4 parts and 2 of them has 8 parts, so you multiply and then add however many parts are left over. In this case, it's 1. So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9, and we keep our denominator, okay? And then we take those 2 numbers and we multiply them together. All right, so I just moved those down here into this section and I multiply these together. Can I simplify 2 and 9? No, this only has one factor, which is 2, and this is an odd number, so that does not work. Okay, what about 4? It's either going to be 1 or 4 or 2 times 2. None of those numbers go into 7, so we cannot simplify there. So we simply multiply across, okay? And when we do that, we say 9 times 7 is 63. 2 times 4 is 8. Well, now we got to take 63 divided by 8. How many 8s will go into 63? If you know your times tables, this becomes pretty simple, but if not, you're going to have to go 8 plus 8 plus 8 and do whatever that takes. But I know that 8 groups of 7 equal 56, okay? 8 groups of 7 equal 56. 8 groups of 8 equals 64, and that's too big. So I don't want to be too big. I just got to keep it where it's at. Then I subtract, and I get my numerator. 63 minus 56, so I had to borrow. 13 minus 6 is 7. 5 minus 5 is 0. So now my numerator is 7, and I keep my denominator 8s. And to prettify it, here it comes spinning into view. That's all you do, okay? Convert, convert, multiply. Get an answer, turn it into an improper fraction, or turn it into a mixed number, which means simplify. Okay, I'll wrap it up, lady. This lady's always yelling at me. You ever notice that? Let's see. What do you get when you cross a cow and a rabbit? You get hair in your milk. Hair in your milk. That's another word for rabbit, hair. You ever had milk like a real hair? That's gross. I once drank coffee and chewed on a stink bug. Let me tell you that story.